Do you really believe that being free is simply doing whatever you want? Think about it. How many times have you felt trapped by your own desires, following impulses that ultimately only left you empty, frustrated, or even regretful? Today, I want you to open your mind and rethink this idea of freedom, because the truth no one tells you is that if you live only obeying your immediate desires, you are not free. You are a hostage to your desires. Yes, it may seem shocking, but I'll show you, with clear and direct examples, how this illusion you call life may be turning you, without realizing it, into a loser in your own story. And here's a quick challenge. Comment now on the word will, just so I can see who has felt that sometimes their own will deceives them. I want this video to be more than just watching. I want you to participate, reflect, and share your experiences. So, hold this thought with me. Are you ready to see the truth about freedom? Because what we're going to discuss today isn't just philosophy or abstract thought. It's about your real life, your choices, and most importantly, who you're becoming as you follow paths that seem easy but are actually traps in disguise. And between you and me, if you think following your will is synonymous with happiness, you're in for a surprise. So comment on the word control if you've ever felt like you're letting your life be guided by impulse rather than conscience. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes I'll reveal how to break these invisible chains, face reality head-on, and begin building true freedom, one that isn't dictated by whims, but by conscious choice, self-mastery, and the courage to look at yourself without masks. And if you've ever felt that something inside you is blocking you, that your will sometimes betrays you, comment reflection now, and let's begin together this journey to awaken and question everything you thought you knew about living free. Remember, this isn't an ordinary video. It's an invitation to wake up, to look in the mirror, and recognize that much of what you consider freedom today is actually imprisonment. And from now on, every comment, every reflection you make will help not only you, but everyone watching to see this uncomfortable yet necessary truth. So, comment, interact, and hold on tight, because today's provocation will stir your mind, and if you allow it, transform the way you view your desires, your routine, and most importantly, your own life. Have you ever stopped to think that what we call freedom is often just an illusion carefully constructed by our own desires? We believe that being free means doing whatever we want, without rules, without limits, without effort. But the truth is that following only immediate impulses, momentary pleasures, and fleeting desires doesn't make us free. It imprisons us. It's an invisible prison, disguised as fun and comfort, that shapes your life without you even realizing it. Every impulsive choice, every neglected habit, or every moment wasted in pursuit of instant pleasure erects silent barriers that limit your growth, your decision-making power, and, in reality, your true freedom. And make no mistake, genuine freedom isn't the absence of rules. It's the ability to choose consciously, to make decisions aligned with who you want to become, and not just with what the moment demands. So let me ask you, have you ever felt that your will sometimes deceive you? If so, comment the word trap below, so I can see who has already noticed this disguised prison. And the worst part is that these days, this illusion has become even more subtle and seductive. How many people do you know who spend hours scrolling through endless social media feeds, consuming meaningless content, letting time slip through their fingers as if they were living, when in reality they were just existing? How many are trapped by modern addictions, be they digital, dietary, or behavioral, believing that this is freedom? Each endless scroll, each unchecked series binge, each impulse followed without reflection builds an invisible cage. It's as if we're going around in circles, seeking momentary pleasure while our real lives, our goals, our potential are forgotten in the background. And this isn't exclusive to a select few. It's a pattern of modern society which promotes immediate gratification as if it were the pinnacle of freedom, while in reality we're becoming hostages to what gives us pleasure, unaware that each unconscious choice distances us from our true autonomy. Now, I want you to participate. If you've ever found yourself trapped in this cycle of instant gratification, comment, trap, and share your experience with me, because recognizing this pattern is the first step to truly freeing yourself. And that's precisely why we need to reflect on the true concept of freedom. It's not about doing everything you want in the moment, but about learning to say no when something doesn't serve your growth, about prioritizing actions that build your future instead of just satisfying immediate impulses. Authentic freedom requires discipline, awareness, and the courage to face discomfort, because growing is uncomfortable, requires effort, and demands choices that aren't always easy. So, if you want to escape this invisible prison, you need to start realizing where you're giving in to impulse and where you're allowing destructive habits to define your life. Comment. Reflection now, if you feel ready to see these traps and take control of your own story. Each comment strengthens the community here, awakens more people to this reality, and most importantly, puts you on the path to building a truly free life. Not freedom disguised as momentary pleasure, but the freedom to consciously decide, to grow, to evolve, and to live with purpose, mastering your mind, your habits, and ultimately, your own life. You say you're free, but are you really? How many of us can go a single day without seeking approval from others, without compulsively staring at the glowing screen of our cell phones, without surrendering to the food that dominates us or the comfort that paralyzes us? We often believe that freedom is simply doing what we want. But when our desires dictate our choices, when our immediate desires control our routine and our thoughts, we become invisible slaves. And this slavery has no chains or physical walls, but is as real as any prison. It is the invisible leash of desire, which keeps us bound to habits that weaken us, to patterns that limit us, and to illusions that distance us from our true potential. And between you and me, if you've ever felt trapped by something that seems inevitable, comment on the word leash now to show that you've recognized these invisible bonds, because recognizing the prison is the first step to freedom. The problem is that we live in a society that sneakily fuels this slavery, offering instant pleasure and distractions that imprison us without us realizing it. Every notification that lights up on your phone, every video watched without purpose, every meal that overwhelms you isn't just a moment of pleasure. It's a constant reminder that you're still not in control of your own life. And when you allow these desires to guide your choices, your energy, your focus, and even your self-esteem, you give away your freedom. It's as if we're chasing endless satisfaction, believing we're free because we can click, eat, or consume whenever we want. But in reality, every impulse we follow unconsciously traps us even further in the routine of immediate gratification, making each decision more difficult and each day more controlled by external and internal forces that we often don't even realize. So let me challenge you. If you've noticed that any of these desires are controlling you, comment collar and share with me what your biggest challenge is, because understanding this opens the door to regaining control of your life. And true freedom, the freedom that truly matters, lies not in giving in to desires, but in recognizing them, understanding their impact, and learning to choose consciously. Being free means having the strength to say no when something only gives you momentary pleasure and weakens your life in the long run. It means having the discipline to maintain habits that build your mind and your future. It means knowing how to differentiate between impulse and real growth. Each time you resist the invisible leash of desire, you strengthen your self-mastery, your awareness, and your ability to live according to your values and goals, not as society or your impulses dictate. So, comment on the word leash. Now, if you are ready to face this reality, recognize the desires that bind you and begin a path of authentic freedom. Because life is not about satisfying every impulse or desire, but about gaining autonomy, clarity, and power over yourself. And that is precisely what makes someone truly free, far from the invisible chains that so many accept without question. While many believe that freedom means giving in to all desires and living without limits, the truth few realize is that true freedom is born of discipline. It is in self-control, in the ability to choose what truly matters, and in detaching from what is superfluous that we find the power to live fully. When you can control your impulses, resist distractions, and prioritize what will build your life, you stop being hostage to fleeting pleasures and become master of your own destiny. Discipline is not a prison, as many imagine. On the contrary, it is the key that opens the doors to true autonomy, one that no one can take away from you because it originates within your mind, your character, and your ability to make clear decisions. And here's an invitation. If you've already realized that discipline is true power, comment on the word strength now, because this is the first step toward recognizing that control is not about restriction, but about genuine freedom. I experienced this myself in practice, in my barrel, without depending on anything or anyone, experiencing the essence of what it means to live truly free. Without distractions, without luxuries, without the need for approval, I learned to value every small conscious choice. Each day was an opportunity to exercise self-control, decide what was truly necessary, and let go of what merely seemed attractive. And it is precisely in this detachment that lies the power that transforms life. When you don't depend on comfort, other people's opinions, or immediate pleasures, you become unshakable. Each act of discipline is a silent victory. Each conscious decision is a step out of the invisible prison of desire. And each moment of detachment is the construction of a freedom that no one can take away. If you have already felt the transformative impact of discipline in your life, comment strength so we can celebrate this power together. Because recognizing this truth is strengthening your own journey towards complete autonomy. Discipline, self-control, and detachment aren't just abstract concepts. They're practices that can transform your reality and free you once and for all from the invisible chains that bind you. When you prioritize what builds your mind, body, and life, every choice stops being an impulsive act and becomes a conscious step toward true freedom. And it's in this process that we realize that living without depending on anything, not approval, not immediate pleasures, not distractions, is the essence of inner strength. Every moment of resistance is an achievement. Every small, conscious sacrifice transforms into autonomy. And every disciplined habit shapes the character and life you truly desire. So, be sure to reflect. If you've already realized that discipline is the path to true power, comment on the word strength and share how you apply self-control and detachment to your routine. Because the freedom that matters does not come from giving in to desire, but from mastering oneself. And it is precisely this daily, silent, and powerful practice that separates those who truly live free from those who merely believe they are free. The person who follows only their will often believes they are living fully, but in reality they wander aimlessly, lost in a maze of fleeting impulses and desires. Every choice made solely to satisfy immediate desires distances us from true fulfillment and traps us in patterns that never bring lasting happiness. We follow comforts, pleasures, and distractions that give us a momentary sense of freedom, but which are actually invisible chains that shape our lives without us realizing it. It's the cycle of instant gratification. We want something, we pursue it without reflection, we feel momentary pleasure, and soon we find ourselves empty and frustrated without real progress. And it is precisely at this point that the conflict between will and virtue arises because virtue calls us to something greater, to conscious choices that build character, discipline, and true freedom. Now, I want to challenge you. Which dominates you more today? Will or virtue? Write in the comments. There's no point in avoiding the answer, because recognizing where you are is the first step to finding the right path. Following virtue doesn't mean giving up pleasure or happiness. It means learning to differentiate between what is fleeting and superficial and what truly adds value to your life. It means having the strength to resist impulses that only distract and master yourself to achieve lasting results. Virtue teaches us that every decision must be measured by its impact not only now, but in the future. And that true freedom arises when we choose what is right, even if it is difficult or uncomfortable. It is in this contrast that we perceive the difference between those who live to satisfy desires and those who build a life of meaning. And here's a practical challenge. If you feel that your will often dominates you and distances you from what is virtuous, comment will. If you feel you can choose virtue and resist impulses, comment virtue. I want to see honesty in the comments, because this reflection transforms your perception of yourself and what it truly means to live freely. The conflict between will and virtue is constant, and the daily battle between what we want and what we should do defines who we become. Every time we give in to immediate desire, we take a step away from true freedom, autonomy, and personal growth. Every time we choose virtue, we strengthen our character, our discipline, and our ability to make conscious decisions that lead us to our life's purpose. It's not easy because modern society encourages precisely the opposite: instant gratification, constant distractions, and the illusion that pleasure is synonymous with freedom. But the truth is that true freedom only comes when we master our will and align our actions with virtue, when we become capable of living with integrity, awareness, and autonomy. So, take this moment now and answer honestly. Which dominates you more today? Will or virtue? Write in the comments and let's reflect together on this conflict we all face, because recognizing the internal struggle is essential to begin living with purpose, building true freedom, and walking firmly on the path of virtue, which is the only one that truly leads to power over oneself and a life worth living. Diogenes doesn't want you to just watch or reflect. He wants action. He issues a direct and uncomfortable challenge because it's in discomfort that transformation happens. I want to see courage. This week, deny one useless desire, just one. It will hurt, but it will show you who's really in charge, you or desire. This isn't just a philosophical provocation. It's a practical test of self-control and discipline. We often fool ourselves into thinking we live free, but the truth is, we're dominated by habits, impulses, and desires that weaken us. And it's precisely at this point that the challenge becomes powerful. Denying something you'd normally give into without thinking is a reality check, an opportunity to reconnect with what truly matters, to realize the inner strength we all have, but few exercise. If you're willing to face the truth about yourself and the strength you possess, comment now with the word challenge and commit to participating, because each comment isn't just interaction, it's a step toward freeing yourself from the invisible chains of desire. Denying an unnecessary urge, even a small one, is more than just an exercise in self-control. It's a demonstration of power over yourself. It could mean stopping watching that repetitive video, not reaching for that candy you know you don't need, or resisting any impulse that would only bring you momentary pleasure without bringing growth. The momentary pain you feel when saying no is the price of freedom, because each time you conquer an impulse, you strengthen your mind, discipline your will, and create space for conscious decisions that truly shape your life. It's a test that shows who's really in charge, you or your desires. And the best part is that this small act of resistance not only strengthens your inner strength, but also creates a domino effect. The more you practice, the more your mind understands that you are the master of your own life, and the less room there is for being held hostage by habits and fleeting desires. So, let's show me some real courage. Comment, challenge, if you're up for it. And together, we'll discover how small acts of self-control can radically transform your perception of freedom. Diogenes' challenge is simple, but its depth is immense. It forces us to face our dependence on instant gratification and confronts us with the reality that freedom isn't about doing whatever we want, but rather consciously choosing what deserves our attention, energy, and action. By refusing a futile desire, you begin to experience the essence of true autonomy, realizing that the power lies within you, that your mind can dictate the course of your life, and that your habits don't need to dominate you. Each time you complete this challenge, even if it's painful, you are building strength, discipline, and clarity, qualities that transform not just this week, but your entire life. And now I want to see real commitment. Comment, challenge. If you're up for this week, committing to this test and truly discovering who's in charge of your life, because this is the opportunity to experience the power of self-awareness and virtue in action, and every step you take in this challenge is a step toward freeing yourself from the slavery of desire and living with purpose, discipline, and true autonomy. We've reached the crucial point. That moment when everything we've discussed connects and reveals the truth many avoid facing. Those who only do what they want, who give in to immediate desires and fleeting whims, are not living, they are being governed. Every impulse followed without reflection is another invisible chain that binds you. Every habit you let dominate your mind is a wall separating you from true freedom. Diogenes shows us directly and relentlessly that true autonomy is not made of instant pleasures, but of conscious choices, self-control, and the courage to face discomfort. He challenges us to see that most prefer to remain comfortable in their disguised prison, but those who have the courage to master themselves find the path to freedom. And therein lies the difference between those who merely exist and those who truly live. The ability to look at oneself, recognize the invisible chains, and consciously decide to break free from them. If you felt this video touch something deep inside you, comment now on the word freedom and acknowledge, even if silently, that you want to be someone who chooses their own destiny, not just a prisoner of the fleeting desires that modern life offers. Each comment is a sign that you are willing to break out of the cycle of instant gratification and begin building a life based on discipline, virtue, and self-empowerment. And here's the final, direct, and powerful call. If this video touched you, if you felt that restlessness that there's something more, like share and comment on the word freedom. This isn't just interaction, it's an affirmation of who you want to be. It's the first concrete step toward aligning yourself with the real freedom that Diogenes so emphasizes. It's not about other people's approval nor numbers, but about making a commitment to yourself, a commitment to stop giving in to useless desires, to resist distractions, and to prioritize what truly matters. Every conscious action you take, every comment you write, every time you choose virtue over will, is a small victory against the slavery of desire. So, show that you're willing to go further, that you don't want to be just another person lost in the routine of momentary gratification, but someone who understands that freedom is the fruit of discipline, self-mastery, and the courage to confront yourself. Comment, freedom. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this truth and like to seal your commitment to transformation. Remember, the choice is yours, but every conscious decision brings you closer to truly living, far from the invisible chains that bind most. This is the time to awaken, to take control, and to prove, first to yourself, that true freedom is not a distant dream, but a daily achievement that begins in the mind, actions, and heart of those who decide to be masters of their own lives.